Uh, yeah, uh, yeah, uh.
All right, everyone. It is Tuesday, which means it is time for the fantasy cheat sheet presented by Going for Two. There's one thing I have to bring up before we go any further. Yes, I am having technical difficulties. I do not know why my camera is not working. I've been trying for a half hour to fix it, but instead of canceling the show, because that is not happening on my watch, we're going to go with it anyway because me and Jordan had this show last year. It is the Bull Prediction Show. It was one of our favorites, and I know Jamie's crazy, and I know his last one, and he proves that he's crazy, but he thought I was going to think he's crazier than I really think he is, and we'll get to that later. But, boys, what is going on? Let's start off. Jordan, how's it going?
Good, man. Looking forward to this show. Seeing some predictions you guys have. Looking forward to discussing them.
And Jamie, what is up, my dude?
What's up, everyone? Man, you wanted bold. I'm bringing the heat tonight.
Are you bringing bold or are you just bringing crazy? Oh, wait, you bring crazy every week. All right, let's get to the show. All right, so there's not much news, so let's just get real quick. Alvin Kamara, 3-game suspension. I think that does need to be brought up real quick. Jordan, what do you think this does for the backfield in general in New Orleans? You're down there, you're closer to the action.
Yeah, I just think it gives Kendra Miller a chance to kind of make an impression early on. I mean, Jamal Williams is there. Obviously, he's probably going to be the quote unquote starter, but they're going to split. It all depends. Obviously, I know reports about Kareem Hunt possibly signing there. So if that happens, then it becomes even messier. But as of now, Miller will get a chance to kind of cement a role or get a piece of a role and then kind of move forward from there. He'll get that chance. And I think that's big for him. It'll be big for Jamal Williams to get that opportunity, 3 games of being, I guess, the number one guy if they don't sign anybody else.
Yeah, and Jamie, the question I got for you is what does this do to Kamara's value now that we know it's only 3 games compared to the 4, 5, 6 that were thrown out?
I mean, it's definitely going to be rising. I can't get him in the seventh, eighth round anymore. But I mean, with 3 games, I'm willing to take a shot at him in the sixth round, fifth round, somewhere around that area, depending on who's on the board at the time.
Yeah, see, I knew I was going to you for a reason because I knew you already knew where you couldn't get him compared to where you want to get him. So that's why I threw that one to you. And then, real quick, just like Jordan brought up, there are rumors that Kareem Hunt will end up signing with the Saints. There's also rumors that he's going to go talk to Indy. Jordan, just really, really quick, does this do anything for Jamal Williams lowering it, or is this more just an added depth piece because we don't know what's going on?
I think it could be a little bit of both. I think it'll be something that'll just mix it up. It'll be Kareem Hunt isn't washed up. Like
No.
he still has talent, he still has ability, and Jamal Williams is the most talented running back. So I definitely think it'll probably lower him once the signing is made official.
Yeah. Anything to add, Jamie, before we get into the?
I mean, Kareem Hunt, he is one of the best free agents out there right now. I would like to see him on the Colts instead of
Yeah,
the Saints. When Kamara comes back, I don't think he'll be as usable as if he would split with JT if JT plays.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with both of you on that one. All right. We're only 4 minutes into the show, but I don't care. It's time for some bold predictions, baby. Jordan, why don't you start us off with by going down to Miami, Miami?
So this guy, I mean, everything that we're talking about tonight is going to depend on guys staying healthy. So that's obviously I won't have to use the injury disclaimer anymore. But so now, Tua, I'm on the Tua bandwagon. I know Jeff, if you're listening, you're probably happy about this one. Tua, I believe Tua can throw for 5,000 yards and push on that 40 touchdown threshold this season obviously depending on his health and the concussions. I know he's had a problem with that, but in the 12 games that he played last year, playing at least over 65% of the snaps, he was on pace for 4,800 yards, 35 touchdowns, and that was in the first year of a new offense with head coach Mike McDaniel. So you come in year two in an offense, the same weapons. Tyreek Hill's healthy, Jalen Waddle's healthy. I mean, they have this. They still have the old guys at running back with Mostert and Wilson, but they have some speed. They drafted A-Chain, so they might sign Dalvin Cook. He's gonna have weapons all over the field. Him taking care of himself, staying upright. I wouldn't be surprised if he can get to that 5,000 yard threshold.
Jamie, what do you think?
I mean, I definitely think it's possible if he can stay healthy. I did hear he was taking jiu-jitsu classes to learn how to fall properly. He's got two of the best wide receivers in the league. I mean, they're both going in the first, round and a half every draft. So I could definitely see it happening. I like that.
I absolutely love this one. I am not completely on the Tua bandwagon like you and Jeff are, but Jamie has known me long enough. You have too. But the reason I say Jamie because of the dynasty factor of it. Jamie, percentage-wise, how many times do you think I don't have Jalen Waddle on my roster?
I think probably every league, maybe.
I mean, every league I pretty much got him in, and I'll be honest, the redraft league that I asked you two about today, guess what? Guess who I got at 212?
Waddle.
Jalen frickin' Waddle. So I am taking this one. Like you said, the injury thing, we're not going to have to bring that up very often because that should just be known. I do think that Waddle, I personally think Waddle could have a better year than Tyreek this year. I just think it could happen. If he does do that, I think they won't have, if they're going to win the division like they want to try to win the division, which they're not going to, I'm not saying they will. If they win the division, this will not happen. Because I think if they win the division, he's not going to have to throw for 5,000. For them, if they're behind, trying to, I think it could happen. I do think he's gone. I'm not sure about the 5. That's obviously Jamie and Jordan, you guys both know when I told you guys I wanted bold predictions, this is the stuff I wanted. I didn't want, someone that's the number 5 is going to jump up to the number 3. So this is the perfect type of bold prediction, and I can see it happening. So Jamie, there is certain running backs that are really in the media these days, partly because they have owners who are idiots and like to save orcas instead of paying their running backs. So why don't you talk about that running back from Indy?
All right. So Jonathan Taylor, man, I had this prediction before all this media stuff even hit. But I think Jonathan Taylor is going to finish outside of the top 15 running backs. We all know he struggled last year. People were taking him number 1 overall. We know how that didn't work out. He was a bust. I think he only had 2 games worth his draft spot last year as the number 1 and number 2 running back in a week. The rest of the weeks, he struggled to have double-digit numbers every week. And I know it's going to be a different offense this year, but you got to look at the offense. They have a rushing quarterback now. So look at what the Eagles and the Bears kind of run. That's the kind of offense I can see Anthony Richardson putting down in that offense. He's going to take away goal line rushes. He's not going to pass to the running back as much. He didn't even get many catches anyway. So I don't see it. They got an offensive line struggling. They're probably not going to be in the scoring, the red zone that often. So I just put him outside the top 15. Actually, he's right at 15 for me right now. I just don't see him finishing higher than that, even if he plays all the games. I was in a draft a couple days ago, and I was in the beginning of the 3rd round, and Jonathan Taylor was there. I skipped over him for Najee Harris.
Oh,
So, because I mean, I got Najee in my top 10 to 12. I put Jonathan Taylor, especially with this news that's out there right now. I don't want any part of Jonathan Taylor. Like, I've seen him go in the first rounds, second rounds. Now he's falling to the third round. Like, I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, Jordan, what do you think about JT?
yeah. So that's real bold to have this take before this situation with the injuries and walking, stepping away from camp. But I think if he plays all the games, it's going to be harder to keep him out of that top 15. I mean, I'm looking at his numbers from last year. In 11 games, he had 861 yards, which is 4.5 yards a carry. That was his least efficient season, but 4.5 yards a carry. People like Najee Harris would die to have that yards per carry for a season. He only had 4 touchdowns. Um, the receptions, 28 in 11 games. I mean, obviously, with Anthony Richardson, he might have 28 in 17 games. That's possible. But I think even with 4.5 yards a carry, let's say he does that, he replicates that efficiency. He's going to be well over 1,000 yards with that. They're going to run the ball a lot because I mean they don't trust Anthony Richardson completely to throw the ball all over the place. They're going to run it a lot. His touchdown luck should be a little bit better. I mean, he had 11 and 18 touchdowns before the 4 touchdown season last year. If he plays, I think it's hard to keep him out of the top 15.
I think we're looking at a lower season than we're used to, but I think it's gonna be closer to 10 to 15. I don't necessarily see him falling out of the 15, but hey, crazier things have happened, and I mean, bold predictions on this show somewhat seem to happen, so I wouldn't put it past it whatsoever. All right, so when I first got on tonight and I was trying to figure out my uh, camera issues, I heard a little bit of the discussion in the background between Jamie and Jordan that they ain't know I heard. Nothing bad at all. But Jamie is 100% right about this, so don't give it away yet, Jamie. The San Francisco 49ers are going to have a top 15 wide receiver, and his name is not Debo freaking Samuel. His name is Brandon Ayukin. Brandon Ayuk, I believe, is going to be the guy this year. Prefacing by saying Trey Lance is not the quarterback. Okay? I know we're going to get to something a little bit later with that, but that's me not thinking that Trey Lance will be the quarterback. I got another prediction. However, I can't bring it up yet. I will bring it up later on. But when it comes to the production, yes, there are going to be games where with all the weapons that they have, figuring they have CMC, figuring they have Debo, they have Brandon Ayuk, and you can't forget they got Kittle. There are going to be days where it's odd man out. For some reason, my gut is telling me that this year, Debo is going to be the odd man out more often than not. He's going to be the boom and bust guy more often than not. I believe that Ayuk is going to be the more consistent wide receiver, get more of the targets actually out in the passing routes, and he'll end up getting more touchdowns than he did last year and end up around 12 to 15. That's where I think he's going to end up. I almost went bolder and said he's going to end up being a WR1, but I think he's going to end up at the top end of WR2. Jamie, since you called it, you go first.
Man, I love this take. I haven't been drafting Debo at all at his ADP because I like to wait like a round or two later and get Ayuk because I actually think Ayuk's going to outscore Debo this year. I'm pretty sure Ayuk ended as like a wide receiver 14 points per game.
Something like
I don't know if you guys want to double check that, but I thought I saw that somewhere. But with Purdy or Darnold as quarterback, I love Ayuk this year, and I think CMC hurts Debo in the rushing game, and I don't think Debo finished as a top 20 receiver once CMC showed up.
I had him on a roster with CMC, and I can guarantee you he did not.
Yeah, so I love Ayuk. I used to call him I puke because I didn't like him at first when he first came out, but he's grown on me a lot. I'm drafting him a lot this year
He
in
was
festivals.
okay. So in 2020, I know I'm going back. I'm just doing it to prove the progression. In 2020, he averaged 15.4 points per game in 12 games. 21, he only averaged 10 points per game. And then he upped it in 22 to 13.4 points per game. And that's according to Player Profiler. So, I mean, he's jumping up. I do think he's going to even go higher this year. I think with the quarterback situation, I think he's going to end up having a better year. Jordan, what do you think about Ayuk?
Yeah, I like him, man. And similar to Jamie, I haven't drafted any Debo this offseason just because of his ADP and where he's going. I'd rather just wait. The 49ers in general, man, the question mark at quarterback. I mean, if Purdy's 100% healthy, I'm ready to roll with IU full go. But if we're talking about another guy who Jamie may discuss later on, um, I don't know. I'm not as sure, but I mean, maybe I could be wrong. Jamie will probably prove me wrong, but
I really wish you could see my smile right now. I really wish you could see my freaking smile.
but
I'm showing all my teeth right now. I am so this last cheat of the week is going to be amazing. That's all I'm going to say.
But yeah, I think IU has all the tools. I mean, obviously they started to show more confidence in him last year. I think they can carry that momentum into this season. I don't I don't have a lot of IU either, but if out of those two guys, out of Debo and Ayuk, I'm taking Ayuk at his price.
All right, so that's one round down. We got more bowl predictions. I don't know about this one, Jordan. Take it away. I don't know about this one,
Hey,
Jordan.
I had to be a little bold. I mean,
No. This is what I love. I love when we disagree because it's
so,
bold.
Tony, at first when I first was thinking about this, and I was like, yeah, you know what, top five. But then I was like, I got to go a little bit harder. I think Tony Pollard will finish as a top three running back in fantasy. Points per game, likely, but I mean, we could go total points as well. Um, I just think, he showed us the last couple of years that with Zeke there being the bruiser and getting the starters workload, that Tony Pollard could still produce at a high level. I don't anticipate him taking all the work that Zeke had. I know they want to try to spare him a little bit, but even with that, the guy's hella efficient. Uh, Mike McCarthy is talking about running the ball a little bit more. He wants to make things easier for Dak and do those type of things on offense. Um, so that just leads itself to Pollard being he's probably I mean CeeDee Lamb makes plays, but Tony Pollard is probably the most explosive player they have on the offense. So they're gonna get him the ball in a bunch of different ways. He's gonna get more opportunities. He's not bad at short yardage and goal line like the role that Zeke had. Tony Pollard isn't bad at that. I know he got hurt at the end of the year, so there will be injury questions, but and so they may not give him as much as we would like to have out of a RB that we're drafting late first, early second round. But his efficiency will still be through the roof. He's on one of the best offenses in the league. The opportunities are going to be more. He did a lot with less, and so I think he'll be able to. In the games when Zeke was hurt, he balled out. So I'm riding Tony Pollard. He's one of my guys this offseason. I'm ready to ride with him till the wheels fall off. And I think if all goes how I think it will, top three is definitely within reach.
Yeah, I love that call, man, because I'm drafting him all over the place. Sometimes he falls at the end of the second. I'm even willing to take him early second. I've done it before. I'm pretty sure I don't have my rankings in front of me, but I think I got him as my RB6 right now. So
That's why I was worried about it wasn't that bold because a lot of people haven't ranked like top 7, top 8. So, I mean, finishing top 3 is not really that bold, but
considering who's there at the top 3, I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah.
I mean, CMC, Eckler, Bijan,
right.
like those are the guys you got to pass up. So that is kind of bold.
No, I do think it's bold enough, and I don't think he'll get there, but so I was poo-pooing on it because I don't think it'll happen. but I do think there is a path for it to happen, which is the key for when we're making these bold predictions. Because if you make a bold prediction where there's no path, then there's no even reason to argue it. But if you can make but if there's a path for it to happen, and McCarthy wants to run the ball more and all that, there's definitely a path. I do agree with you that he's one of their most explosive playmakers. They got CD Lamb, but other than that, they're just. I mean, not saying Cooks is an average dude, but athletically, Pollard is their best. And let's be real, unless they get another running back, which I kind of do believe that they will end up with another running back on the team before the season starts, they're not very deep. And so he's going to be on the field a lot as long as that keeps going.
And he had 12 touchdowns last year. I mean, I worried about Austin Eckler scoring all these touchdowns, and he just keeps it going. So who am I to think that Tony Pollard couldn't score more than 12 next year? So, it's possible. Definitely within reason.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Jamie, you really got to sell me on this one. Let's go.
All right, so this one's a little spicy here, but I do believe it's possible it could happen. I think Greg Dulcich could end up being a top 5 tight end this season.
Let's
Now,
hear
here's
it.
why. Here's why. So if you remember last season, he was held out of training camp. He missed the first 5 games, right? Then when he started his NFL career, he had 3 straight weeks as a top 10 tight end. Then he finished another week later as a tight end 2. And then his last game of the season, he was tight end 7. So in 10 games he played, 5 of them were in the top 10. Now this year, have you heard of some guy named Sean Payton? I think we all heard of him, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard of his Joker role that he likes to put out there?
You mean the Taysom Hill role?
Okay, so Sean Payton said Dulcich could potentially be more than just a tight end, and he's going to take over that Joker position. And he even put out a quote saying, compared him to, who was it, Kamara, Sproles, Reggie Bush, that was being used in the Joker position. And he even said the Joker position isn't just a running back. It's a running back or a tight end. Now, if you remember that year in 2011, I think it was, when Sproles, he actually broke the all-purpose yards. And the same year, Jimmy Graham was in his second year as a tight end. And I believe he broke Kellen Winslow's all-time receiving record for tight ends.
Yeah.
It's been broken since, but the same year. I mean, you had Sproles playing the Joker position, then you had Jimmy Graham, who was an also athletic tight end, putting up all those yards. So I just think he's going to outproduce a lot of people where they have him, because they have him outside the top 12 at tight end right now. And if he does being used as just a move tight end and a Joker role, I mean, that's going to be huge. Like Taysom Hill played it last year, and we were excited to play him when he was like the number 1 tight end once in a while. I could see Dulcich doing the same thing this year.
So, one, Sean Payton is a brilliant guy, and I'm not questioning his intelligence, but we would have had to check in his drink to compare Dolchich to Reggie Bush and guys like that. I know he didn't mean they were exactly the same, but that's crazy. When Jimmy Graham was was putting up those numbers, wasn't he like the number 1 option in the receiving game though?
I believe you are correct.
Like I think Marcus Colston was like the number 1 receiver, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't remember. But they have Jerry Judy, Cortland Sutton still there. They drafted Marvin Mims. I think it's too much, too many other mouths to feed. Even Javante out of the backfield with P. Ryan. Too many mouths to feed. And we also have to remember that Russell Wilson is a Drew Brees. So that's one thing to think about. I think Dulcich will be better than the top 12. I think he'll be better than some of those guys in front of him, but I don't know if he can creep into that top 5 just because of the fact that I'm not sure Russell Wilson is as good as he used to be. I don't think he's washed, but I'm not sure he's as good as he once was. And they have other guys I think that are more capable than some of the other guys in those same positions when they play for the Saints.
All right, so I was actually not going to bring him up on tonight's show, but I believe that Dulcich is going to be a top 10 tight end. I don't think he's going to end up top 5. There's just too it's not. I don't believe it's going to happen. But how do I say this? And Jordan said it a lot more eloquent than I did, but I'm just going to say it. He's in Colorado, right? I think Sean Payton is eating those shrooms. Sean Payton is already microdosing on those shrooms they just legalized. Sean Payton, you're comparing this man to Reggie frickin' Bush? Okay, I agree with you. He's not saying he's the exact same type of player.
Right.
I live in frickin' California. I had the unfortunate thing of having to watch Reggie Bush every freaking Saturday while he was in college against my UCLA Bruins, who Greg Dulcich is from. So if anyone's going to be banging on the Greg Dulcich drum, you think it would be me. But Sean Payton, get your head out of your ass. But other than that, he is going to be used in that offense. I don't want to bring up guys that are injured because it's not their fault, and I believe rest in peace his career almost. But with Tim Patrick getting hurt, and then you have KJ Hamler going on the IR for his or being on leave for his medical issue, I believe Hamler could come back because they're saying that could be short term. Tim Patrick keep getting hurt. I believe his career might be on the fritz. Mims has been hurt a tiny bit in camp. Does that mean that they go out and use Dulcich more? Yes. So, Jamie, I'm giving you a little bit of a reprieve on this one.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted bold, right? I had to bring it.
There is a path. There is a path.
All right, here we go. This is where it starts to get interesting, and you guys noticed that I really got cheeky on how I was listing it in the show sheet, so you guys didn't know where the F I was going.
Yes.
All right. So, what is up, Gladys?
What's up, Gladys?
Isn't Gladys a Steelers fan? Or is she?
Yes, she is, unfortunately.
No, not unfortunately. Because, Gladys, it is time to talk about Mr. Kenny Pickett. But before we talk about Mr. Kenny Pickett, yes, this is going to be a little bit braggadocious, and I do not care, Jordan. Didn't I predict someone last year to be a good quarterback, and both you and Zach told me I was crazy? Yes, because I said that Jared Goff was going to be a top 15 QB, and I got a laugh off this screen. And it was more Zach than you. It was more Zach than you.
I don't recall.
Do you think I'm going to actually come on here and say that again? Yes, because Kenny Pickett is going to be a top 15 quarterback. Is he going to be 12 or 11 or 10? No. He finished.
He'll be 15.
Yes, I don't care. He's top 15. He finished tied for 27th last year. I get it. He wasn't that great. He only played in 12 games. Started off with Mitchell Trubisky in front of him, and then he missed another game throughout the year. They were in the middle of the pack in percentage of throwing the ball. They threw the ball 53.6% of the time. I believe that number is actually going to go up a little bit. I still think that Najee is going to eat. I do think Jaylen Warren is going to eat in the running game. I think they're going to try to get Najee a little more in the passing game. But you guys both know that there's a wide receiver that I am very, 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 very heavy on in the Pittsburgh offense this year. Deontay Johnson is going to eat. He's going to get catches, and he's also going to get some touchdowns finally. He had 0 touchdowns last year. I do think that Freiermuth is going to get better production in the red zone. He's going to get more touchdowns because of that. And I don't really care. I don't watch too much camp videos because they're camp videos, and you're going to, like right now, everyone's out here in California because it's only an hour away from me. Everyone's wanking that freaking Dak Prescott had another 2 or 3 interception day. I really don't care. But everybody in Pittsburgh is loving the videos that are coming out with Pickett to Pickens. And if that keeps going on this year, I just don't see how he doesn't at least finish in the top. If I'm not going bold, I'm saying he's going to be in the top 20, 18 to 20, perfect number 2 in your super flex. But I think he's going to be a top 15 and highest upside right on the top 12. Jordan, tell me how crazy I am.
Kind of crazy, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna laugh you. I'm not gonna laugh you off of the set, but also
that'll be later.
Yeah, one thing about those videos that we see from camp, if George Pickens has to jump over a guy and catch it with one hand to corral it in, that's not a good throw. So, I'm not impressed with Kenny Pickett on those type of plays. But I was looking at the list of quarterbacks, man. I don't see how he gets to top 15. I can name like 16 guys just easily that I think will finish better than him. So unless one of those, facts. But I just I know you like Deontay. George Pickens is obviously talented, and they have those other weapons you named. I just don't see it. They're not going to be doing what they used to do with Big Ben when he was throwing it all around the field and stuff like that. I don't think Kenny Pickett's that good, and maybe I'm sleeping on him, but I'd rather. So let me ask you this: Aaron Rodgers or Pickett?
Straight up, Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, Jared Goff or Pickett? Last one.
God damn it.
Yeah, I'd go Goff over Pickett, but I would go over Rodgers only because I don't like Rodgers.
But that's right. I know why he's doing
it. Yeah, that's guys on the fringe of the 15. They got all kind of other guys better than those guys. So, I think it's a really bold take. He has the weapons to do it, but I just don't know if he has the ability.
All right, Jamie, rip me a new one.
Well, I'm kind of hoping you're right. I think he could possibly take a step forward. Now, as a Browns fan, I actually own way more Steelers than I do Browns on all my fantasy rosters because I like them all. Najee is one of my targets. Deontay is a target. I'll settle for Pickens, George Pickens. And Pickett, man, he's one of my favorite later round tight ends, in a super flex. I'll settle for him as my number 2, but I love him as my number 3 option. He does need to throw the deep ball a little bit more, and that's where him and Pickens need to match up a little bit better. He's not very accurate with that deep ball. But who knows, man? He could take another step forward. I think he was outside the top 20 quarterbacks in deep ball attempts. So if he can just throw the ball downfield a little bit better, I definitely see top 15. But I'd feel more comfortable as lower and about 20. Anywhere between 20 to 24. But like I said, I own a lot of Pickens or Pickett. I always get too mixed up, but so
you've been getting those two messed up since he was still in college.
Yeah.
All right, so I just looked at the show sheet to remind myself what I needed to tee up, and I am going to tee this one up. Jordan, I haven't seen somebody that's not an AFC West fan poo-poo on a team like this in the offseason, more than you have in a very long time. So how are you going to poop on the Raiders even more than you already have? Go ahead.
So this is more so because my brother is a Raiders fan, and I talk to him all the time, and he's always talking about, bro, we're gonna suck, we're gonna be terrible. And I kind of started to I took a step back and looked at it. I mean, why not? So basically, I don't know if it's bold now, considering how much I've dumped on them, but I think the Raiders will be the second worst team in the league behind the Cardinals. But they have the Josh Jacobs situation going on. Before that, they had the Jimmy Garoppolo being hurt, and they know when he hurt, but they still signed him. Now he's healthy, but we don't know what to expect. Josh McDaniels is just not a good coach. Period. He's tried to do the Bill Belichick thing in Las Vegas. It hasn't worked out. I don't
This
know
is me clapping.
he hasn't gotten the memo that anybody who isn't Bill Belichick can't pull that off. So, he's still trying to do that. Like I mentioned, Josh Jacobs isn't even with the team. Devontae Adams is one of the only weapons they have. They got rid of Darren Waller. They did draft Mayer, but I just don't trust Jimmy G to stay healthy. I don't trust Josh McDaniels. The defense sucks. They have Max Crosby and stuff like that. But overall, the team just isn't good. They're going through turmoil in the off season. Why would I expect this team to be any good? And then they're in one of the toughest divisions, if not the toughest division in the entire league. I just don't see those guys doing anything this year.
All right, Jamie, why don't you go ahead before I agree with Jordan?
I mean, if it wasn't for the Cardinals, I would say they'd finish dead last.
Exactly.
So I have to agree. Everything Jordan said, 100%. Like, I don't think they're a good team. If it wasn't for Adams, or even Josh Jacobs, I don't know what his situation is going to be. But yeah, I don't see it, man. The offensive line still struggles. We got Jimmy G, who's not really a great quarterback.
They downgraded that quarterback with a bad coach.
I mean, you're taking the leftovers that the Patriots don't want, and they're not even a good team over in New England. So, Mike, rip it.
I hate the fact that they're the second worst team in the league. I don't like it. Because that means they're going to get a good player at the top of the freaking draft. Okay? Yeah. Yes, I want them to suck, but I'd rather them suck like at 5 or 6 so they don't get like Drake May or Marvin Harrison Jr. They'll probably mess up and get a wide receiver that should have been drafted in the 6th round purely because he runs a 4.23. They do it every year. They always, for God's sakes, they drafted Alex freaking Leatherwood.
They drafted Henry Ruggs over Justin Jefferson, Jerry Jeudy, and guys like
Darius Hayward Bay. Is that another one I need to bring up?
Yeah.
I do agree with you that this team, I'll go a little bit deeper than just me being a Chiefs fan. I do think this team has gotten weaker. I 100% agree with you about the McDaniels thing. He's one of those coaches that's meant to be an OC, and it's not a bad thing. That's not a hint. That's not a bad thing to be an OC. It's just he's not built. I just don't think he's built to be a head coach. And I don't think Mark Davis, as the owner, and even though there is a GM in the Raiders, if anyone wants to try to prove me wrong that Mark Davis makes all the calls, try it. Because his dad did it. He did it before they hired Mike Mayock and McKenzie and whoever else they got a GM. He's still the puppeteer and is calling the shots, and he sucks at it. He can't pick a good haircut. He can't pick a good coach. He can't pick a good quarterback.
He definitely cannot pick a good haircut.
Yeah, second worst. I do think there's a couple teams that are really bad. I think the Rams are going to be worse than people think. I think the Rams could be a top 5. It does hurt them that they're probably going to get 2 wins over the number 1 team, which we're all in agreement that Arizona right now looks like the worst team in the league. And hopefully Houston doesn't stink, because if Houston stinks, their pick goes to Arizona this year because of the deal to get Will Anderson. Yep. But I think we are all in agreement that this is a bold take, but this is definitely a take that I could see happening. Now, Jamie, take your next one away because I honestly don't remember what it is, even though I just looked at it.
So I'm thinking that Gainwell will be the Eagles' fantasy points leader for running backs. Now, Swift, he can't handle a full workload. He never has. He's only had about 40 to 45% of snaps his whole career. Penny can't stay healthy. So I'm taking a discount on Gainwell in drafts, basically get him for free. I'm going to hold him on my bench. And then eventually he's going to take over the majority of workload. Yes, probably going to be due to injury. But with Swift and Penny on that roster, that's a good chance to take that at least one, if not both, are going to get injured. And in last year, you could even see in the playoff games that the Eagles were trusting Gainwell just as much as they were Miles Sanders, and those are most important games of the season. So they obviously like him. So if I see him being a big part of that offense. I mean, even with the other two ahead of him, I mean, he'll probably only get 5-6 touches a game. But as soon as one of them goes down, I mean, we're going to see a spike. So I'm willing to hold him, use him as a trade bait, or he's not going to be an RB1 or an RB2, but he could be a flex option at that time. And like I said, you could use him as trade bait to trade him to the Penny owner or the Swift owner at that time when they do get hurt.
Take it away, Jordan, because I have a very strong stance on this one.
This is actually like when I first read it, I was like, "What the hell?" But like, I mean, when you when you think about it, I mean, it's feasible. I definitely think you'll have to for Gainwell would be probably total points, but I mean, points per game. No, I don't think he would be the leader that way. But um, that would be he would have to go through a lot of injuries to get to that point. And as much as those guys get hurt, I mean, if it's an ankle and you miss 2 games, then come back, I think you are banking on like some season-ending type of stuff, and I don't know if that's something you can really bank on with those guys. Uh, even if he did get it, I mean, we all know the Eagles share carries regardless of who's there. They had called Jordan Howard back off the street a couple of years ago, and he was getting carries. So they're gonna always split, and so that'll hamper Gainwell's upside if he did get those opportunities.
All right, so here we go, Jamie. I actually smiled when I saw this one. But I will say, NBA rigged. I will bring up your question right after I give this take. I think you are right. It's going to be through injury. If it does go that way, I do think it's because of Penny. I personally am. I have okay. I will preface by saying I've never been a Penny believer, even when he came out of San Diego State. Seeing him in college, I didn't think he was bad. I just thought he was one of those guys that was going to produce in college and not produce in the NFL. So far, he has produced okay in the NFL, but his body is made of glass. I think the glass in Philly is still going to fall down the freaking rocky stairs, and he is going to shatter at some point throughout the year. Jamie, your point of Swift, I think it's going to be more if it does happen. I do think there is a route that Swift could get hurt, but I don't want to wish. I'm not wishing the injury upon anyone. I have I think 40% dynasty shares of Swift or something like that. So I need Swift to do good. My issue with Swift is, or with Gainwell on the positive, is Gainwell already knows that goddamn offense. I think that's going to help Gainwell in those key spots when they need, not for fantasy rosters, but for real NFL games when they're playing a Dallas and it's a 7-point game, when they're playing the Niners, when they're playing teams that they got to win. I think that why can't I think of the coach's name right now? Sirianni. I think Sirianni could lean on Gainwell more. I see it being Swift, Gainwell, then Penny, but I could see an opportunity for it to be the other way around between those two. To bring up NBA's comment real quick. Mike, heard you gloat about Kenny Pickett. Do you think he finishes better than Derek Carr and Jimmy G? Yes, on Jimmy G. I would put money on that. Derek Carr, I think it's going to be close, but I do think there is a path for it. But Jimmy G, I don't even.
That's easy. That's easy.
To me, that's not even. To me, Jimmy G might not finish as the QB. And just because they want, if they get to a point where they want to suck because they're sucking and they want to really suck, they could take Jimmy G out.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Darren Sproles, lookalike equals Boston Scott. I believe he's still on the Eagles roster. He's going to share with Gainwell. Boston Scott is like that one ant out on the freaking when you're like camping that just like goes and flies around your food and you smack it out, or that fly and it smack it out of the air and then it keeps coming back. It's that one fly. It's like every single time you like have a Philadelphia Eagle and you need that person to score in 1 week, and you see touchdown and you see a little midget come flying out of the freaking end zone. It's Boston Scott. It's not Kenny Gainwell. Okay. That's my rant on that, and I'm sticking to it. Okay. So I think you guys know where I'm going with this one. I think one of you does. NFC North is a very tricky. You got Minnesota. You got who don't know who their starting running back is going to be. Because it could be, it could be, who knows? I've heard rumors lately that they're going to try to bring in another dude. I don't know. You got Detroit, who is hands down the trendiest pick right now. And I do love myself some Dan Campbell biting kneecaps Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown is for real. There's the Bears with DJ Moore coming in. You got Justin Fields, who I think is going to have a bounce back a type of year and show that he was who we thought he was. Then you got Jamie's, I don't know what you call him, Jamie, your man crush, your favorite running back of all time. I mean, you already got a custom jersey. I mean,
yes,
Roschon Johnson, okay? You got a jersey. For everyone that knows, Jamie got a jersey that says Roschon on the back because he didn't want it to just say Johnson.
Yeah, that's kind of lame.
So
boring. Who wants a Johnson jersey?
But then you got Jordan's Green Bay Packers with Mr. Jordan Love, who hasn't really proven anything yet. You got Christian Watson, who I just drafted yesterday, by the way, Jordan. Romeo Doubs, and you got the two running backs. I don't know who knows who their tight end is, because I don't think they know who their starting tight end is. Their defense is good. So all I told the guys when I said what I was doing is I was predicting who was going to win this division. The Bears!
Wow.
My bold
one reason and one reason only. Roschon Johnson.
No. I literally just put my face so far close to the camera and then realized that you can't see me. Here's the thing. I think that Justin Fields is going. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. It got brought up on another show I was on. So far in Vegas, and I'm not saying he's getting MVP. That's not what I'm saying. So far, the most money in Vegas on a future MVP this year so far is Justin Fields. It's because he's at plus 2,000 odds. But he's like 8th or 9th in value. Last year, the number one quarterback or number one person being bet on for MVP at this point was someone who had a breakout performance to put himself up in the hunt for MVP. He did not get it, but his name is Jalen Hurts. The reason I bring that up is I do believe that with DJ Moore, I don't think this is the make it or break it year for, in my opinion, for Cole Kmet. I don't know what you guys think, but this to me is the make it or break it year because every year we've been hearing that Cole Kmet's going to have a good year. Chase Claypool, I'm not sure. I do believe that Darnell Mooney still has something. I'm going to give you a little bit of credit here and say that, yes, Roshan is going to have a decent rookie year. By the end of the year, I think it's going to be the Roshan and Herbert show, not the Foreman show, because I think that Herbert is unlike, I think Roshan is more like Foreman, and he'll take that role. The weak part of that team is their defense. If the defense can step up, I believe that this division, and tell me if I'm wrong, Jordan, because you are the resident NFC North team or fan, I think this division is going to beat the crap out of each other this year. You're not going to see a team go 5-1 in this division, I don't think. You're going to see a bunch of 3-3s. You're going to see a 4-2, 2-4, whatever. There's usually a team that goes from last to first or close to it. Last year I picked a couple division winners and one didn't turn out and one did. This year, my division bold prediction is the Chicago Bears win the NFC North. Jordan, tell me why I'm wrong.
Honestly, I can't definitively tell you why you're wrong because I mean the division is really up for grabs. Honestly, if I got to be objective here, I don't believe the Packers are going to win it, and they didn't win it last year. So, Minnesota won it. I think they're going to be back in the mix for it. Detroit's going to be better. The Bears are obviously going to be marketed better. So, I mean, it's up for grabs right now. And, I mean, what Justin Fields, by the end of this year, we could be saying he's the best quarterback in that division. So, if he plays like that, it's definitely a pathway for the Bears to get to that point.
Yeah, for sure. So, Jamie, before you go, I'm just going to show the So, Jamie, love your bold hot take on Dulcich. He is probably going to get opportunities, hence his pathway to top tight end, probably finish around 7. He needs to thank Tim Patrick and Hamlin. Great take, bro. So, Jamie, what do you think about the Bears?
I mean, they got my favorite player. Love them. They got another one of my favorite quarterbacks from Ohio State, Fields. I just don't see them winning the whole division. I like the Vikings or the Lions. All I know for a fact is I could say with confidence that the Packers are going to come in last place in that division. Sorry, Jordan. I mean, they're starting over.
That was an unnecessary shot right there.
That was unnecessary.
We'll have a few years, man. They'll bring it back up. I do love Jaden Reed in that offense, though. He's one of my late round guys I'm stealing. But I can't doubt Mike, man, because last year he did have that Jags take. He was right. So I don't want to say he's wrong about this one.
That was luck, but I'll take it.
Yeah,
I even bought a mini helmet because of it.
Nice. But it is definitely possible, man. It's up in the air between those three. I would just put my money on probably the Lions.
All right, so those are our main takes of the night. We still have the cheat of the week, but before we go to the cheat of the week, because there's some hotness in the cheat of the week this week that I'm the two above me on these two other people. I know they got some hotness to talk about because I know the name that Jordan's talking about, but I think I know the aspect he's going. But before that, Jamie, what's your favorite thing to do in fantasy besides playing Dynasty?
Draft.
And what can you draft all summer doing?
Best ball.
All right. Today's show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their industry-leading best ball leagues with huge tournaments, private leagues, and pick'ems for every major sport. Sign up with our promo code GF2 in capital letters GF2 and get a deposit match up to 100 buckaroos. It's as simple as that. Sign up, use our promo code GF2, and you can start drafting your best ball teams now, and you'll probably see Jamie in the lobby. All right. So, Jordan, it is time for the cheat of the week. We are at 55 minutes, and this is where I usually say, let's make it quick and wrap it up. But guess what? This is juicy because I think I know where you're going, and I know what Jamie's is because it's just there. So, Jordan, go.
And this is actually not going to take long. But basically,
Damn it.
already.
There you go.
I don't think he's obviously he tore his ACL late in the season. He's not gonna be ready for the start of the season. As we've all already discussed, the Cardinals are gonna suck, which means they're gonna have the number one pick likely. Even if Kyler came back, I don't think they would be good, but I don't think they would have any reason to bring him back. They're gonna want him to be completely healthy for when they trade him to someone else. So they're definitely gonna be looking to get Caleb Williams, and I think at that point, Kyler, they're gonna be gauging it throughout the season. I don't think they're gonna rush him back, and then once it gets to a certain point in the season, they won't bring him back at all. So, I think he's played his last game. I think they're gonna use that number one pick on a quarterback and probably trade him for another first round pick. And if the Texans are as bad as they could be, then they'll have who knows how many top 10 picks in this upcoming draft. So it's the Cardinals are going to start thinking for the future. Obviously, Cliff Kingsbury isn't there anymore, so the coach that's there didn't draft Kyler, didn't want Kyler, so they have no reason to keep him, especially with a better prospect like Caleb Williams staring at him. So I think he's played his last game, and he's just going to be getting healthy to play on his next team.
Jamie, what do you think? And then I will answer Rick's question.
Yeah, I 100% agree. He could definitely play his last snap on the Cardinals. I don't know the cap hit. I think it's like $15 million or something if they do trade him after this year, but they're not really paying anyone else. So they have that cap space to do that. And I would much rather have a Caleb Williams in my NFL offense rather than Kyler Murray. So 100%, I agree with you.
All right, so it's a clean sweep on this one. I don't know if he doesn't ever play again for the I get your bold take is that he doesn't play it down this year.
Yes.
There's something telling me that they're gonna put him out there at the end.
Like an audition.
Yes, exactly. Just for a little bit and then retake him out. But I do not see him playing. He's definitely ain't playing the first half of the year because he's going to be injured. They'd be dumb to rush him back. And I do agree with you that he is no longer on the team in 2024, which is what I want to answer this because as soon as you brought this up on the sheet, and it was exactly what I thought you were going, I was thinking where. NBA Rig, his second comment was, should Denver go after him? No. Here's what I'm going to bring up. This hurts me to say it. This hurts my soul to say this answer. But and you guys, in a laughing matter, you will understand, Jamie, it's a part of the joke of the show.
It's Washington.
But, yes. That's exactly where I'm going. Eric Bieniemy, not saying he's the same kind of quarterback as Mahomes. That's not what I'm saying at all. But Bieniemy does like to have a quarterback that can get out of the pocket, that can maneuver the pocket and throw the ball. It doesn't hurt that he has legs if he's healthy. No. Can he look over a line? That's part of the problem. Is he the smartest passer? No. That's part of the problem. But can Bieniemy coach him up for that? Possibly. We know the answer in Washington is not Jacoby Brissett. But the question is, and this is an actual question, I truly believe this is the question. Is the answer Sam how. Because I really do believe he has a chance to be the answer. The problem is if they start to stink, okay, if Washington starts to stink it up and they're in that top 5 to 10 range, do they do something to try to not get? I'm not saying they're going to get Caleb because they're not. I don't think Washington's going to stink bad enough to get Caleb. But if something happens and they stink enough and they get rid of Rivera, I believe Bieniemy's the next head coach no matter what happens. Do they try to get, say, a Drake May or whoever else comes out in this class? But if they don't do that, I could see Washington being a team to grab him. Another team that if they decide to go this route, and you brought him up, Jordan, you brought him up tonight. The Raiders don't have a freaking quarterback. If they don't end up being able to get the number 1 pick, which I don't think they will, and they want to use that on the best player available or however they want to use it, and get Murray, I could see them doing that. NBA Rig says, what about Atlanta?
What I was going to bring up. That's
a possibility.
What about if mac and cheese stinks and
but he doesn't, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll be talking about mac. We'll be talking about mac and cheese in the third one. Hint. That's why it's blank, boys. Maybe. I'm not telling you anymore. All right. So we have talked about. Okay, I have a lot to say, Jamie. Before you give your prediction for the end of the year, because this is the boldest one of the night, and I like it. But before you go there, you have to give me credit on one thing. I have been too much of a Sam Darnold supporter, correct? I've been supporting him way too long. I've been running around tables, victories when he was in Carolina. You might be taking the cake, sir. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to predict the Super Bowl. It's going to be the New York Jets versus the 49ers, and I actually wore my 49ers Joe Montana jersey just for this take. Now, we all know you can throw any quarterback in the 49ers offense, and they're going to look good. That's just what Shanahan does. I do believe Purdy's going to be the quarterback for most of the year, but I want to see Sam Darnold go in and beat the Jets for the Super Bowl ring, just as a middle finger to the Jets. I also want to see Aaron Rodgers lose the Super Bowl. Then I would love that, just because I don't like the guy. But I do believe the Jets, they are putting a good team together. Like, they already have a great defense. They're beefing up their offense. So I do believe those teams will be going to the Super Bowl, and I want to see Sam Darnold do it.
All right.
Well, I'm going to get mine out the way. I know you got a lot of thoughts, so I'm going to just be quick. This is by far the boldest take. Obviously, the prediction involves 2 teams, and I don't think neither one of them going to be in the Super Bowl. but that's the beauty of it all. I mean, and I will say this, if the 49ers are in the Super Bowl, I don't think Sam Darnold is going to be a quarterback to bring him there. But I mean, the 49ers are one of those teams, like you mentioned, man. I might have been able to have some success with them at quarterback with the amount of talent that they have around there. So it's not. They were in the NFC Championship game last year. Had a good chance of winning if Purdy wouldn't have got hurt. So I mean, they're going to be returning a lot of the guys. So that's more of a likely outcome than, to me, the Jets, because you got to get through Mahomes, and I don't see them being the team to be able to get through it. If you don't have to go through them, you got to go through the Bengals, the Ravens, the Dolphins. I just don't see the Jets being able to put it all together in year one with Rodgers as their quarterback. I've had to cheer for this guy for a long time, and every time we needed him the most, he didn't deliver, except for that one time in the Super Bowl. But we only got to one Super Bowl. We lost several times in the NFC Championship game and bad a couple times. So it's like I just don't see him going to New York and just all of a sudden being able to bring it home for them.
All right. Here we go. You're crazy.
I know I am.
Okay? And you're crazy for the exact reasons that my friend over here to my right on the screen has mentioned. You just are predicting 2 teams to go to the Super Bowl, not just one. I agree, and yes, this is biased opinion. The Jets aren't going to the Super Bowl. It ain't happening. We all know who I want to go to the Super Bowl, but I personally don't think that even if my Chiefs do not go to the Super Bowl, that they will go to the Super Bowl. I do think you're crazy in saying that Sam Darnold is going to overtake Brock Purdy to go to the Super Bowl. But
I mean, it could be for injury reasons too.
No, you're right. No, you're right. But the reason I brought up what I wanted to bring up is because one of my bold takes was going to include Sam Darnold, and I took it off my thought process because when I saw yours, my prediction for the season, or for the season, I do think Purdy's going to end up being the quarterback, but I do not believe that Purdy starts the season at quarterback. I believe that Sam, because I wasn't going to use this as a bold take. I was going to lead into something else. But I think Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback on week 1. I just believe with it, and it's partly because Trey Lance isn't Trey Lance. Or Trey Lance is Trey Lance, and that is the problem. Trey Lance is closer to Jimmy G than Trey Lance is closer to Joe Montana.
So let's say Darnold does start the season and he wins every single game. Are they really going to bench him for Purdy?
You're telling me this team's going 17-0 with Sam Darnold, their quarterback?
I mean,
are you sure you're not in Colorado?
He might be. He might be him and Sean Payton.
Like,
man.
are you smoking? I mean, come on, Jamie.
Well, he wouldn't have to go 17-0, but if he started 5-0, it would be hard to bench him.
Yeah, it would be hard to bench him if he started 5-0. I just don't think he's the kind of guy to lead them. He's not playoff mentality either, and I have never said he is. I just thought the main reason I've given Darnold so many chances is because the worst coach in the history of the NFL ruined him, in my opinion. And that's Adam freaking Gase. That's a whole other subject. I wrote an article on that back in the day that Adam Gase is the worst coach in the history of the NFL. Okay? So I just have this feeling that, yeah, I do think that they will be successful. Will they go to the Super Bowl? I don't think they go to the Super Bowl in general. But, I mean, that's hard to say. Who knows at this point? Because you never know. The NFC East is one of those divisions that everyone flip-flops. The main thing with your point is, 1, Darnold. 2, the Jets aren't going to the Super Bowl. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think if the Jets do make it to the Super Bowl, it's 2024. Not 23. But that's not a horrible – it's not as bad as – I mean, yeah, it's the boldest take on the show tonight, but it's not as bad as I thought you were going to go. When you brought up that you had a bold take in the comment or in the group chat, and you're like – and I just said, make sure you just like lead with it. I didn't. I thought it was going to be. I even thought it was going to be worse than that. Okay, 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So here comes my next one. What do you guys think Mac and Cheese is going to do this year?
I think he's going to be a lot better than last year. I mean, when you had a defensive coordinator being your offensive coordinator, things are bound to get awry. So just actually having somebody who knows something about offense calling the plays, I think can go a long way for him.
Okay, Jamie?
I mean, I did bring him up on our quarterback show a few weeks ago. I think he's going to be a lot better in this offense than he was last season. I mean, if you remember, he did have a lot of good top 10 weeks his rookie season. And I just think with this new offense, man, he's going to be a lot better.
All right.
I
So
wish they would have got him a weapon, but I mean DeAndre Hopkins. But hey.
no, thank you for saying that, Jordan. You just set me up without setting me up. You just set me up without knowing you set me up. There's my main problem. Is I do think he's going to be better, but they didn't. Re-signing freaking Devonta Parker is not getting him a weapon. Freaking bringing in I mean, yes, Jamie, you know I like my Mike Gesicki, but that's not the weapon they needed. I agree with you. They should have brought in DeAndre Hopkins. But you're 100% right about having Matt Patricia as your freaking offensive coordinator was not the way to go. You bring in Bill O'Brien. Because they don't have the weapons, I do think they're going to be a more successful offense overall. But because they don't have the offense like he has, Riggs, I will get to that comment after this, but that just disgusts me just looking at it in a joking way. I do not think this subject, my bold take of the evening, has nothing to do with Mac Jones. Ramondre Stevenson leads the league in rushing if they do not bring another running back into that room.
Ooh,
That's spicy.
that is.
He is going to lead the league. He's not going to be RB1 overall, but he's going to lead the league in rushing if they do not sign another running back. Do not sign Ezekiel Elliott, please. Okay, because I personally believe Zeke is going to go back to the silver and blue. But that's my bold take. Ramondre Stevenson leads the league in rushing. Jordan, I know I'm bold. How bold am I?
Really bold considering the Patriots and the way that they do things with running backs.
Exactly.
A lot of like I think they might bring in somebody, not necessarily Zeke, but they'll probably bring in somebody. I mean, the other guys on the roster right now, Pierre Strong, Ty Montgomery, I believe, and Kevin Harris.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that, man. But if they don't sign a running back, I'm definitely be all on the Ramondre bandwagon. I kind of dipped off because I anticipated them signing somebody. But if they don't, I definitely could see a path for him being very productive, rushing the ball and being a leading rusher. I just don't see a Patriots running back doing that with the way they like to mix and match and use guys in different spots. And we all remember Jonas Gray had 200 yards, and the next week he didn't even play or something like that. So who's to say Ramondre wouldn't? I don't know. Was late for a meeting, and then he gets suspended for a game. So this is Bill Belichick we're talking about here. You don't know what to expect.
Jamie?
Yeah, man, that's hard because you got Nick Chubb, you got Bijan, and
Derrick Henry possibly.
Derrick Henry, yeah. I don't see it. I think he'll be the leading rusher on the Patriots.
That's why I said bold.
Yeah.
Rusher in the AFC East. For sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Can he beat out Josh Allen?
Yeah, Josh. Yeah. If Brees Hall is fully healthy, maybe. But.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, that is a bold one, Mike. If it does happen, I give you props.
Yeah.
All right. So
let's
bring this up. As I said I would, even though it's disgusting. Mike, is it a bold take to predict Patrick Mahomes will finish outside of the top 3 quarterbacks this season? Will you take that first, Jamie, while I think about this real quick?
That's tough, man. I have him number 1. Where we're talking fantasy, I mean, you got the rushing quarterbacks like Hurts, Fields. I mean, Herbert could possibly take that step forward, but no, I mean, I wouldn't put him outside the top 3. I don't even want to put him outside the top 1, honestly.
That's definitely
that would be kind of bold.
Yeah, that's very bold because I mean, like you mentioned, like he doesn't run as much as a Hurts or a Josh Allen,
But he does
but
have that sneaky rushing upside.
he does have the rushing upside, and his throwing prowess is more than anybody else in the league. So the Chiefs always find creative ways for him to lead the league in touchdown passes. So, I don't think that's going anywhere. Travis Kelce is still walking around, so that's not going anywhere. So yeah, I think that would be really bold to put him outside the top three. I mean, top five would be even bolder, but yeah, top three. I think Mahomes is one or two for sure.
Okay, so if he does not finish number 1 or 2, I mean, I just had a super flex draft that I'm in the middle, that the boys know I'm in the middle of right now, that this redraft. And I just drafted, I pulled the 101. I don't know how I pulled the 101, but I took Mahomes 101. I was dumb. I didn't overthink it. I took 101. Somebody else, another guy that we know took, that we all know, took, he's an Eagles fan, so you can guess who it is. Took Jalen Hurts at 102. I have no problem with either one of those picks. Obviously, I took Mahomes. If Mahomes was to fall out of the 1 or the 2, I don't think, and then this is where I think Jamie was kind of alluding to, I don't see him falling past the 3 spot. The only way I see him passing the 3 spot is if Burrow or Herbert were to take that much of a jump. And if one of them was to take that much of a jump from past production, I would say it would be Herbert and not Burrow, because Herbert's getting a new offense and all that. But overall, I don't see it, but it is what it is. Let's see here. Next comment. Jordan, excellent take. Belichick has never had a rushing champ in his 30 years of coaching. Yeah. That is true. And then the next one. Water bet, Mahomes will be outside the top 3. I doubled down. Apologize, Mike. Your boy, I'm a bit low on this year. I've heard some people being lower on him this year, and I think that part of the reason people are lower on him this year is, and this has nothing to do with bold takes, this is just a quick comment. I have no idea who's going to be our number 1 or number 2 or our number 3 wide receiver. I mean, it could be any of the 6 guys in the wide receiver room could be the number 1, number 2, or 3. It could be Christian Watt. There could be days where Justin Watson's the number 1 and Justin Ross is the number 4. Then I'm hearing that Sky Moore is having a great camp out of the slot, and they project him to have about the same production target level as Juju did last year. Well, Juju had about 900 yards receiving. If Sky Moore gets 900 yards receiving, smack me across the face. I mean, because you guys both know I wasn't the biggest Sky Moore fan. I mean, I don't know if I like Sky Moore less than I like McCall Hardman, but yeah, I don't see that happening. Anything else you guys want to bold take tonight, boys?
Mac Jones finishes higher than Kenny Pickett.
Ooh.
Who?
Mac and Cheese finishes higher than Kenny Pickett.
Mac and Cheese is not finishing higher than Kenny Pickett.
Bet.
Anthony Richardson will be the top 10 quarterback.
I could see that happening. I could see that as a possibility. I just don't know if that offense is. I mean, they do run the same offenses. They're going to run the same offense as Philly. But here's a question for you: could he do that if Jonathan Taylor? Can he do it if Jonathan Taylor is not a top 15 running back?
Yes.
Okay.
The thing about Mahomes, just real quick before we go, this dude threw for 700 yards at Texas Tech. I'm not that worried about who his receivers are in the NFL.
Yeah,
Like he threw 700 yards in a game. So I mean, I believe in him, especially after they let Tyreek go and then they won with Valdez, Scanling, and Juju, who's now Mac and Cheese's number one receiver. So yeah, that's one guy I don't die. I think a lot of other guys would need all those weapons, but him, as long as Kelsey's healthy, I think he can make something happen.
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, that was a great show. Bold takes every year. We love it. We got one more show, and then we got two more shows, and then the regular season. I cannot believe the regular season is almost here. I think first real preseason game is this Thursday. I know there's a double header. But for Jamie, anything you want to say on the way out?
I just want to give a shout out to my boy NBA Riggs. We're always chatting with each other on FF Face Off podcast almost every day when I see him in there. I just want to appreciate you hopping in our chat. And then
for sure, absolutely.
Sure, I appreciate that, man. The questions, the comments, appreciate it.
Any interaction, I love it. All right, so for Jamie and Jordan, I am Drop the Mic, and we will see you next time. Hopefully you see my face. Peace out.